Hey guys, this is Dave Trailblazers, and we are back with another video. It's been quite some time since I made my last video. At least a good 3 weeks, I want to say. Been busy, but not as busy as I was before when I took a major hiatus, so that's good. I'm actually trying to get back into the YouTube thing, the Twitch, all that. Definitely missed making these kinds of videos, so without further ado, I'm going to be talking about the Blazers Warriors game. And I wrote down some notes on my computer and took a picture of it on my phone, so I don't have to keep flipping back and forth between different tabs on my computer. And the first thing I noticed was it definitely felt like a playoff game. It was really intense, and it had a really quick pace. Both teams have some fairly young players, so they were able to really push the pace on offense. And there were a couple of really solid plays on defense made for just a really quick, entertaining game. Sparked a lot of intensity and some emotions throughout the game. I honestly thought the Warriors would spark a late game run like they normally would in the fourth quarter, but they ended up not being able to do so. There's a bunch of reasons for that. Mainly, they just were struggling to score, even though with only a minute into the fourth quarter, the game still wasn't even out of reach by that point. They still definitely could have made a late game run, but because they were struggling to score, it made it very difficult on them. And they also had a very controversial foul call that didn't go their way. Basically, Draymond Green fouled Zach Collins, the power forward for the Blazers, and he kind of got him on the arm. I don't think he got him hard enough to upgrade it, but basically they reviewed it, the referees, and the referee Maurer, I believe his name was Ken Maurer. Yeah, Ken Maurer. Him and the other official upgraded it to a flagrant 1. And that was a really big game changer, which obviously didn't help them. And it's also worth mentioning it was a double technical, so there was the technical on Collins, there was the technical on Draymond Green, and as soon as that was called and ruled the official call, Steve Kerr got so mad that he actually took his clipboard and he just slammed it down super hard on the ground. And then Ken Maurer just straight up ejected him. And then as he was walking away, he was screaming profanities at him. You obviously couldn't tell what specifically he was saying, but you could tell he was really mad. So you can take some educated guess on what he was saying. I'm assuming it was profanities, because that's just me. That's what I would do if I was that pissed off, honestly. It was a really, really bad foul. A really bad flagrant ruling, so I would have been pretty pissed, if I was Steve Kerr. And as a result, as soon as that happens, because he, slammed his clipboard on the ground, he immediately got ejected from the game. So the assistant coach, one of them, had to coach the rest of the game. And that also obviously didn't help their case to win the game. Right around that time, Jake Layman started to really catch fire, and he ended up having a breakout game of 17 points in 26 minutes. Also, flipping back to Zach Collins, he didn't really show much on the scoreboard, but he got a couple offensive rebounds and he played with a fire and intensity that the Blazers really needed in that game. And he had a huge block late in the game as well, which also really helped the momentum swing to the side of the Blazers. And surprisingly, really surprisingly, Klay Thompson was held to only 9 points in the entire game. That was really surprising to me. Also, a big reason the Warriors lost tonight is throughout the rest of the 3 quarters. The first 3 quarters, they only had 5 turnovers. Or no, in first 3 quarters, other way around. First 3 quarters, they had 3 turnovers. And then in the fourth quarter, they ended up having 5 turnovers for 8 turnovers total. So that really just was like the worst time for them to start manufacturing turnovers like that. Came at like the absolute worst time, to be honest. Definitely didn't help their case. And their biggest lead of the game, the Warriors we're talking about right now, was 5 points in the entire game, so that was not very good. And I also felt like, despite the huge momentum swing that resulted in the double technical and then the technical on Steve Kerr as well, and him getting ejected, it still wasn't like completely out of reach because like they're still such a good team, the Warriors, that they could have overcame it if they really, really tried hard. Which I'm sure they definitely were, but like they just seemed to check out after that. They were just like, fuck it, you know what I mean? So that was pretty interesting. It just seemed like they mentally gave up in a way. Steph and KD combined for 64 points in the game. So that was a highlight to that game out of very little for the Warriors. And Damian Lillard scored 29 points, whereas CJ McCollum scored 15 points in the game. And it's also important to know that the Warriors were without DeMarcus Cousins, Andre Iguodala, and Sean Livingston. And because of that, they actually had to start Kevon Looney in place of DeMarcus Cousins. And honestly, another big, like, key, important thing to note was the Blazers bench really stepped up in the fourth quarter. Like, the only guy that they really brought in late in the game that wasn't on the bench was, that's not a part of the bench unit, I meant to say, was, for the most part, just Damian Lillard. But, like, the rest of the guys, for the most part, were from the second unit, and they just ended up taking over the game completely and really just switched it into another high gear. So that was really cool to see, and really surprised they beat the Warriors. You know, going into this game, Warriors are still the 1 seed if the playoffs were to start today, and I believe the Blazers were in 4th place with 33 wins, if I remember correctly. So I was surprised to see them win tonight. I was happy to see them win tonight, though. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.